This big show is entitled Hoover's Response to the Depression. And in this lecture, we're going to look at some ideas we've talked about previously, but I want to go a little bit deeper and see if we can make some sense of this. So a couple of the ideas we're going to talk about today would be, what did President Hoover believe and what did President Hoover do? Hopefully we will be able to address those two questions as we go through this. But I want to start with something which may seem a little unrelated. There are no facts without theory. There are no facts without theory. In European and American societies, for example, it is generally accepted as facts that the world is round and that it orbits the sun. Those are facts. These facts are inseparable from the theories that explain the nature and movement of celestial bodies. Gravity and our whole solar system and its relation to the rest of the universe. Because there are no facts without theory. But you should be aware, if you're not, that before these ideas of Earth's place in the solar system and rotating around the sun, they assumed that the Earth was the center of the universe and things rotate around Earth, and they observed things which they identified as facts because of a different theory they had. And you'd say, well, they were wrong. That's right. Many times people's theories are wrong, and then what they attribute to be facts aren't facts at all. Because your belief determines action. Your theories determines what you consider to be facts. Your theories determines what you consider to be facts. Your beliefs determine your actions. What you believe, the theories you form about the world, if you think school is a giant waste of time, you will live your life in school as if it's a giant waste of time, and you will find facts, quote, facts, to support that. You will find some teachers who have unnecessary rules and seem to be punitive in how they deal with students, and they will identify, and you can find these facts and show, see, it doesn't help me at all, or you will see, how will I ever use this later in life? I don't need algebra when I'm trying to raise a family or work in whatever job I have. When will I use this later on? These are facts you will identify to prove your theory that school is a waste of time. Conversely, if you think education is very important, you will find lots of facts to support that. Your beliefs you have, your theories determine what you consider to be facts. So Hoover's philosophy, he considered the Depression to be a temporary setback. That's what he believed strongly. And his philosophy was that he believed the way to economic recovery was through individual effort, not government assistance. He was very much against government assistance. He said the government relief would not only inflate the federal budget, but he said the government would giving help to people would reduce people's self-respect and therefore making it more challenging for them to rise up and to achieve more, and in a sense then help the American economy. So he was against direct relief because he believed that the way people got ahead in life was by working hard, or what he would call rugged individualism. He believed that success comes through individual effort and hard work. Outside forces which seem to go against people being able to achieve and even have some modicum of success or of shelter or basic necessities of life don't seem to be factored into this. He said those are just those examples didn't fit with his philosophy, and so he attributed to those items as being temporary. This is a temporary setback, but if we persevere, we can get through this. He also believed that what the government should do is coerce people, to encourage people to volunteer. Hoover called business leaders to Washington and asked them to keep up production and not to lay off workers or cut wages. He believed it was important that it was always optimistic and issue cheerful public statements designed to boost confidence. He said in March of 1930, the worst effects of the crash upon unemployment will have passed within the next 60 days, which of course that wasn't the case. In fact, it would take, to get to the level of March of 1930, it would take until really the U.S. was in World War II to get down to that level of unemployment. So right on the eve of Pearl Harbor. So in the farm, there is a farm crisis that we've talked about, where many farmers who had accrued debt, and especially during World War I, to expand production, then when with the Dust Bowl and environmental issues they dealt with, and also sagging ability to sell their surplus, many farmers lost their farms and weren't able to pay their loans back that they used to expand production in the 1920s, and they were not able to even to stay on their land. So he tried to help aid farmers indirectly. The Home Loan Bank Act was passed in 1932, gave money to banks so they could make low-interest mortgages. So he would give money to banks, not to individuals, because that would hurt their self-esteem and ability to take care of themselves. He gave money to banks so they could make low-interest mortgages, if they chose to help farmers. Many banks took that money and did not make low-interest mortgages, but actually used it to solidify their own position and make sure their banks didn't close. The Reconstruction Finance Corporation, which we've talked about previously, authorized to end up to $2 billion to stabilize troubled banks, insurance companies, and railroad companies. Remember this idea of trickle-down economics, where the economic benefits provided to businesses and especially big corporations will have the most good for the economy, because these are the institutions which employ lots of people, and does it help those individuals? Eventually it would help everybody if we help those. So in 1932, we have this issue with this bonus army. The bonus army was 10,000 World War I veterans, and their families went to Washington, D.C. to support a veterans bonus bill being debated in Congress. The bonus, which the veterans were supposed to get, but it was not due to be paid off for like 10 years from this date. But many of the soldiers who had fought in World War I, which had ended in 1918, they said, we need the money now. The government promises to pay. They're going to pay us down the road, but we need the money now to just live. And they marched on Washington. The bill would have made early payments of the pension bonuses owed to the veterans. It was owed to the veterans, but wasn't due in 1932. They wanted it early. The bill did not pass Congress, and as the pictures that you're seeing there, first the police went in, and then eventually Hoover sent in the military to disperse the bonus marchers. So they rolled in with tanks and tear gas and bayonets to get the veterans off of the Penncrest area of Washington, D.C., and that grassy area that leads up to the Capitol. And this was in the summer of 32. This is before the November election, which pitted Hoover against Franklin Roosevelt, the Democrat. And the election didn't go well for Hoover, and it was a rejection of his philosophy. But we have to understand the Electoral College system, because if you look at this map, you would say that Roosevelt won in a landslide, which in many ways he did. He received 89% of the Electoral College votes, but 40% of Americans did support what Hoover was doing. So it wasn't like no one supported it, but 57% supported what Roosevelt wanted to do and try something different. But it is important to understand, I want you to get from this the philosophy that Hoover operated under, and that's why he would interpret certain things the way he did, because it's your theories that determine what you consider to be facts. And that's your big show for today.